Well, hello all. Even though it's so busy out, I've got a little bit of time I wanted to do a video because the scientists over in Australia are really concerned about the increase in CO2 and methane levels, how they suddenly just spiked straight up. Let's go over to the board and take a quick look. So let's talk about air pollution. Is carbon dioxide air pollution? Anything can be air pollution or water pollution or soil pollution at an excess. If there's too much of it, it turns itself into pollution. The reason is because carbon dioxide puts a blanket around the planet, and the heat that comes in from the sun bounces off the planet, back up, hits the CO2, and comes back down, and heats up the ground. So yes, CO2 is air pollution. Do you know that oxygen can be air pollution? So the concern is a record high CO2 concentration in the air. On 6/04/2019, it was at 414.70 parts per million, or that concluded the 7th consecutive year that CO2 has risen sharply. So in other words, CO2, well, I have an idea. Let's look at the chart here. As you can see, there is definitely a spike, as you can see here. And every measurement shows this. The spike is continuing, and it's continuing to this very day. As you can see here, today it was 413.15 parts per million. I don't have one for last year at this time, but that's too high. So that was last year, 2019. So this year, they're really concerned that the spike will continue to climb. They were sort of hoping it might bend over a little bit and give us some relief so that things weren't so dire so quickly. But as we see, both in the charts I've shown in the past and today, the CO2 level is still spiking, along with methane and nitrous oxide and other problematic gases that are heating up the planet. Remember, methane comes from oil drilling and fracking, and it comes from farming, cattle, cows, sheep. All that is terrible on us, on our methane levels. There's so many things we can do to prevent high methane levels, isn't there? Reduction of your meat intake. Pretty soon it will have to be completely quitting your meat intake. It's getting pretty close to that already. We need to stop breeding cattle for food. That's such a waste of land and all the food that the cattle are required to eat. The ratio between how much food it takes to make your steak and the outcome of it is so extraordinary. The amount of calories it takes to get such few calories of meat, and then that meat is basically poison. So we're killing our planet by poisoning ourselves just because it tastes good. Come on, we're better than that, aren't we? I can make tofu burgers taste just as good as meat ever could. Or I can make vegetarian dishes that out-taste meat any day of the week. You just have to have an open mind to it and start learning about cooking and food and what you need and nutrition. And I know a lot of people can't stand that, but it's important so we don't kill our children in a horrible way of heat. Now, over in Australia, the scientists are so concerned because the parts per million are too small. They're 2.5s. 2.5s are really harmful for humans to breathe and other animals. We're making the smoke more toxic than it used to be by climate change increasing the temperature. And the concern is that people are going to have to start wearing masks a lot of the summer. We personally have some masks, some I think they're N something, and they're exactly for smoke, 2.5s, particle, which are just awful because they go way deep into your lungs and cause lung cancer and other problems down the road. So it's important to get the right mask. It's important not to support the fossil fuel industry, which is causing a high CO2 and methane levels in our oxygen, and they're peaking, and they're still telling us that there's no such thing as climate change. Are we going to let them put the blinders over our eyes forever while we just go sail right on into the superheat? Or are we going to do something about our meat consumption, our driving, and our footprint? It's so important. It has to be done by the people. The government isn't going to do it, people. Of course, CH4 is air pollution at 1863.6 parts per billion. That's way too high. Let's take a look at the chart. As you can see, that's quite a peak of methane. You see it's spiking straight up once again. You can see that we're in a bit of a problem because all this spiking is causing ocean temperature to hit record highs in 2019. The rate at which the oceans are heating up is accelerating. See, it's the rate of temperature increase, both in the water, the air, and the land, that's so worrisome, because you could someday in the near future hit a temperature which would kill off a large population all at one time, and that would really make a mess of everything. Something we don't want to get to that point, because once that starts, you're going to end up with a panic, and people are going to be racing up north and south trying to get away from the heat, and eventually they won't be able to. So think of this the next time you eat meat, or use single-use plastic, or get into that huge SUV you own. So many places we can fix things, and at least you'll feel better about it. And if you do it, maybe the next door neighbor will do it, and they'll do it, and they'll keep following each other, and we'll end up with a whole lot less going straight up and some leveling off of some of these high temperatures. Let's see, what else? I guess that's going to have to do it today. I'm really, there's just no time for anything, you know what I mean? Everything needs to be done all at once. So, I definitely do appreciate all the comments on the last videos. The ups, the downs, especially the new subscribers. I'm getting close to 1,000. 1,000 could end up being when Pink Barrio starts to live stream. That's why you want to give a new subscriber to Pink Barrio. So, until next time.